Welcome back to WOWBIZ Weekly. You know, there's a lot of confusion, a lack of clarity out there insofar as the business scene is concerned today. And when I talk to CEOs, I do some coaching and consulting with them, their view of the future is very muddy. They're dealing with a lot of personal issues in many cases. I've learned that a lot of cultural issues inside of organizations are due to the personal or psychological problems that the CEO has and is kind of subconsciously manifesting, causing all kinds of dysfunctional behaviors in their employee culture. It's a very big problem, very tough one to get them to acknowledge and deal with in a straightforward fashion. That's why I cannot wait to introduce you to a gentleman today. He's a counselor, a therapist, a psychotherapist. The name of his operation is Clearview, so that speaks to the confusion and the muddiness that I just alluded to. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Bob Neve right here from Clearview Consulting.
Hello, Lynn.
Very good to see you, sir.
How are you doing? How are you?
Good. It's great to have you here. I've been trying to track you down for 9 months, so this is a victory for me.
I know.
You know, this is really good. Listen, Bob.
Thanks for inviting me.
Sure, my pleasure. And we want to tap into your professional background briefly here for just a moment. Talk about a couple subjects, right? One is when somebody goes from a VP to a CEO, and they've been a CEO for a while. You know, they experience it's kind of lonely at the top.
Sure, absolutely.
And a lot of them get neurotic. They don't even know it. They start to get negative and stressed out. Don't know how to relieve the stress. They feel like they got to work harder than everybody and be smarter than everybody.
Right.
You know,
worried, anxious.
Right. And if they don't look like that, then people think they're not taking their job seriously. And I know some of those people find their way to your offices and visit with you. What do you share with them? What's the process like, and what are the key questions you ask these people, men or women, to help them reveal what's really going on?
Yeah. Well, the process is much different than it was 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Today, counseling is much more conversational. I have a black couch that looks like Freud would have, but nobody lays on the couch. Actually,
it's a prop,
lot of times an older person will come in and say, "Do I lay on the couch?" No, no, no. You sit on the comfy couch, and we just talk. It's just a talking process. In the beginning, I'll do more listening than talking because I need to know what you are and what you do and your goals.
And what my story is.
You need that is the biggest part of what I do. Everybody needs someone to tell their story to.
But you know what? I have to interrupt you here. Don't most of us, when we tell our story to anybody, even an intimate scenario, don't we leave out some of the details?
Oh, sure.
Don't we kind of skew the story so that you'll feel sorry for me, or we'll kind of de-emphasize my contribution to the problems I have?
One way or the other. Either it's like, oh, poor me, I've got horrible things going on, or it's, no, I'm fine, I don't know what I'm doing here. That kind of stuff.
They're in a little denial, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, everybody is. Denial is a natural function. It keeps us from, it's our brain's way of keeping us from dealing with something we're not quite ready to deal with. Yeah,
we got these defense mechanisms, and some of them are self-preservational.
Absolutely. They're all self-preservational.
Right, buffers. But how do you lead them through the process then? I mean, what ultimately happens by the second visit or the third visit? What are you getting into typically?
What ultimately happens is basically I ask questions to get people to think about what their values are. The hope is to get to a new behavior. To get a new behavior, you're going to need something new.
A new response, maybe.
A new response, an inspiration, a new idea, new information, a new way of looking at the world, or just imagination on our own. Get into the Walt Disney kind of concept.
You know, I find a lot of executives have lost somewhere along the line the ability to imagine and the ability to trust their intuition. But let's say, for instance, I'm one of your patients. All right? I'm a CEO of a company, and I come in and I say, you know, these employees, they just don't do what I say. Nobody gets it together and moves forward. Nobody works very hard. They don't pay enough attention to me. I'm very frustrated and angry with these people. And it's making me sad at home. My wife thinks I'm a jerk when I come home. How can you help me, Bob?
First thing I'm going to do is ask you to tell me more about the situation that's going on. And help you figure out what it is that you can do and what it is you can't do. Oftentimes we think that we have control of, especially executives. I should have control over everything that everybody does, and that's just not reality.
Yeah, control is an interesting issue.
It is. Each person that's working for you has a mind of their own and a will of their own and talents of their own.
Yes.
And if you can figure out what those differences are and help them to bring out their ideas and bring out their interest in what you're doing. If they have the same mission as you,
yes,
then you're going to be a lot more successful.
This is what we're doing right now with the audience right here, right? We're trying to help them understand and connect with this whole experiment.
Yeah.
Every moment, right? Every breath
is
an unfolding, a new birth.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about men and women leadership styles, all right?
Okay.
Because I know
here we go.
This is a very interesting
My wife's here, and I'll watch her facial expression and see if I say anything.
And they'll be increasingly
Sherry,
subtle.
if you will.
Right.
Sherry, my wife.
Sherry, Bob Neve's wife is right here.
Cheerleader, what are you doing here?
That's right.
Okay.
You're smart. I bring my wife.
Yeah.
She won't come. But anyway, so men and women think differently. Men are like, they're succinct, they're focused, they're linear, A plus B, and that leads to C.
One-track mind.
Women seem to be connecting a broad maze or matrix of ideas. Briefly, as we wrap this thing up, what's about that? Can women lead? Is that a problem, or is that the solution?
Yeah, well, women can lead, absolutely. The difference between the male mind and the female mind, like you said, is one-track mind, one thing at a time. We can focus on one thing, and we do that very well.
Yes, and we also wonder, why isn't everybody like that?
Right, of course. We all wonder, why doesn't everybody think the same way I do? Why doesn't everyone have the same values I do? Isn't this obvious? Well, whatever's obvious to you is probably your special talent.
Yes.
Because it's not obvious to other people.
Yes.
So the male mind is much better at that one-track focus kind of thing. Also at spatial orientation, where the male mind is very good at taking apart a car engine and having 8,000 pieces and being able to put it back together.
All right. So women, what are they good for in the overall scheme of leadership and business?
Leadership and business, okay, right.
But I mean, capture their singular strength.
I will. The female mind is very good at multitasking.
Yes.
They can do 1,000 things at once. They can handle 1,000 things at once. And as opposed to being spatially oriented like the male mind, the female mind's much more oriented towards verbal and relational, social kind of things. Social kind of things.
And so we are in the world of relationship building.
Absolutely.
We're in the world of social media.
Yeah.
So suddenly women are taking on huge preeminence. You know how many male leaders I speak to that go, I don't get this social media thing, and it puts me off. I'm not really interested in jumping into all that. And women are like, give it to me, right?
A female friend of mine who forced me to get a Facebook page. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a waste of time.
Right.
But yes, absolutely.
All right.
And now I want to make this point also. The male mind has this spatial orientation. The female mind has this verbal relationship orientation. But here's the thing. Not every man has a male mind.
Yes.
Not every female has a female mind.
Sure.
We're on a continuum somewhere in between.
Yes.
So we may look at somebody from the outside and say, oh, our producer has a man, so he's got a male mind, so he's good with that one-track thing.
Right.
But as we see, he's multitasking as we're going on now.
Right. So we should be seeking to idealize here as we wrap this up. Whole brain interaction, whole brain management dynamics, whole brain strategic planning. Right? So we're taking into consideration the right hemisphere of the brain as well as the left hemisphere of the brain. Yeah.
And any individual can do any of those functions.
Yes.
And each individual has different talents, not just because they're a man or because they're a woman.
Right.
Every person, every brain has different talents that they need to find to be successful in what they do.
All right. Well, Bob Neve with Clearview Center, obviously, this is a huge topic, but it's directly relevant to this new era of business that we're in right now. So thank you so much. You're on the money. Clearview. Let's make sure that
Clearviewcenter.com.
Clearviewcenter.com. Bob Neve, everybody. We'll be right back.